some inventory data from Cox Automotive, and in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we normally do with this data. We're going to be looking at some of the highest inventory automakers, and we're going to be comparing available discounts to the automakers with the lowest inventory to see how inventory levels across manufacturers and dealerships really affects the amount of cars that are discounted and by how much. And while the data that we're looking at in this video is just one part of the picture, because while looking at third-party platforms like cars.com gives you a really great idea on how long cars have been sitting on dealership lots for, how much they're selling for a discount, what price they're selling for. It only gives you part of the picture because, of course, there's always negotiating that gets done in person at the dealership. And so while finding cars on cars.com will absolutely give you an idea of how much you could expect to pay for a car, you can absolutely get more discounts whenever you meet a salesman face-to-face. So keep that in mind as you watch this video. But before we dive into the actual discounts, let's first go over some quick data points. According to Cox Automotive, the total amount of automotive inventory is 2.9 million units as of earlier this month, which is equal to a 96-day supply, which is a large amount of supply. Definitely not the largest supply that we've seen, certainly not the least either, but because of a post-holiday sales slump that took place in January, this is a larger day supply than what we've seen in the last few months because sales volume is just overall down, which is pretty normal for this time of year. The average vehicle listing price is $48,637, and the average vehicle incentive is 7.3% of ATP, or average transaction price, which is much better than what we've seen in years past, but is a bit lower than what we saw over the last couple of months. But with those quick data points out of the way, let's take a look at inventory and discounts because this is really what I want to focus on in this video. Vehicle inventory is for the most part more of the same with some standout mentions. If you've seen my inventory videos before, you know that brands like Toyota, Lexus, Honda, they are automakers that have traditionally and really since the pandemic even before that have had low amounts of inventory compared to other major automakers. And as of today, that still rings true today, though inventory has increased, with Lexus having the lowest inventory of 39 days, following Toyota with 40 days, and Honda has seen quite an increase, sitting at 65-day supply, which is some of the largest amount of inventory we've seen from Honda. On the flip side, brands like Jaguar and Lincoln have more than double the amount of average inventory, which is nothing new. And brands like Ford are also seeing some large amounts of inventory, with many seeing a large increase in the last couple of months. But how does inventory equate to discounts? And if you are someone who's wanting to look for a good discount on their new vehicle purchase, are you stuck looking at these higher inventory automakers, or can you find some good discounts with these lower inventory automakers like Lexus, Toyota, and Honda as well? Well, that's the question that we're going to be looking at in this video. Now, looking at Lexus, which is the automaker with the least amount of inventory, their discounts truthfully don't look great. The RX line, which is one of Lexus's most popular models, not only has cars listed for at MSRP, like a lot of them, but there are even some that are priced at above MSRP as well, which whether you are a low inventory automaker or a high one, selling above MSRP in this current car market is just completely unacceptable, and you should never under any circumstances pay that. But believe it or not, even low inventory automakers with highly sought after popular cars, there are below MSRP pricing, like this 2025 RX 500h F Sport Performance, which is brand new and is priced at $3,749 below MSRP and has experienced a recent price cut. If we take a look at the Lexus ES lineup, their popular sedan, this is more of the same, with most cars being sold at or in some cases above MSRP. But as I mentioned with the RX lineup, that doesn't mean that below MSRP doesn't exist either, because there are below MSRP prices for these cars as well, but there are also above MSRP as well. And looking at Lexus, at least whenever we're specifically looking at listing price, there were more cars that were priced at MSRP than anything else, but there was also more above MSRP prices than there were below. Obviously not great, nor is it ideal, but in the case of Lexus, there absolutely were discounted below MSRP prices. You just had to dig for it. But let's compare this to something like Lincoln, which is a new car brand that is still producing new cars, unlike Jaguar. And as I mentioned a moment ago, this automaker has a ton of inventory. In fact, they have more than twice the average amount of inventory for an automaker. And as you can expect, Lincoln has very different story compared to Lexus, and immediately you can see that Lincoln has below MSRP prices left and right. One other thing that you may notice if you look at Lincoln vehicles for sale new today in 2025 is that not only do they have a ton of 2025 new cars, which they should, but they also have a lot of 2024 models that are brand new still sitting sitting on their lots. And these 2024 models have massive price cuts ranging from a couple of thousands to $5,000 or more dollars. And these discounts span their entire lineup. But across their 2025 models, discounts are a lot more sparse, but there are still much more plentiful than a brand like Lexus. But believe it or not, even Lincoln, a brand that has been having trouble moving inventory, has new cars from 2024 still on their lots today. They are also not immune to above MSRP pricing, because they too have the audacity to charge above MSRP. Now let's take a look at brands like Toyota and Honda. Two brands that have historically post-pandemic had very low inventory, but Honda has been creeping up and up in the last couple of months, and now they have quite a bit more inventory than Toyota, but this definitely wasn't always the case. And in the case of Toyota and Honda, there are a lot of cars that are priced at MSRP, but there are also a lot of cars priced below, like this RAV4, this Toyota Tacoma, this Land Cruiser, even the 2025 4Runner brand new generation has a couple cars that are listed for below MSRP. These were very difficult to find. They were also for the base model SR5 4Runner, but they do exist. And Honda, again, the automaker that has the third lowest amount of inventory, but still quite a bit higher than either Lexus or Toyota, they have even more below MSRP prices, ranging from their Odysseys to their Civic and everything in between. And well, if we compare this to Ford, an automaker that has a 138-day supply, well above the 39, 40, and 65-day supply of Lexus, Toyota, and Honda. And, well, the discounts are plentiful in the case of Ford. From their lowest trim Broncos, which are selling for slight discounts, to their Bronco Raptor, their highest absurdly priced trim, which is selling for a steep five-figure discount, the Escape selling for a huge discount, especially relative to the price of the vehicle, F-150s from their base model work trucks, to their high-end Raptors, even Mustangs. The point here, and not only looking at the automakers with the smallest amount of inventory, but also the one with the largest amount of inventory as well as everything in between, there are discounts basically across all makes, models, and trim levels. And while this video is focused on new cars specifically, for anyone who's looking to buy a new car or a used car in this car market, dealerships across the board are absolutely discounting prices. And again, this is true whether you're looking at a low inventory automaker or a high one. And what inventory currently tells us more than whether or not a dealer is offering a discount is how easy it is to find discounts and how much you may expect to be taken off of the price of the car. And in doing research for this video, I found that automakers with low amounts of inventory have far fewer amounts of discounts, and the amount that they're discounting off of an individual car is also much less than a higher inventory automaker. While brands with high inventory like Ford, Lincoln, Jaguar, and many, they are discounting a lot more vehicles across a wide range of models and trims, and the amount that they're discounting off of the individual car is much more aggressive than these lower inventory automakers are. Low inventory automakers are discounting cars maybe a few hundred, and some aggressive standpoints maybe a couple $1,000s, while automakers with high inventory are in some cases discounting their cars 10, 20, 30% or $10,000 to $20,000 depending on the car. And so the point here is that if you are looking to buy a car, then I would absolutely pay attention to the inventory levels of the cars that you're considering buying. And if you are buying a car that has high inventory levels, you should negotiate a lot more aggressively than if you're buying a car from a brand like Toyota or Lexus or Honda. But regardless of what car you buy, you absolutely should not accept either above or at MSRP pricing, because as we've seen throughout this video, dealers are absolutely discounting cars left and right. Inventory is absolutely piling up, and as we sit here today in February of 2025, sales are in a slump. And while I don't think that this sales slump is indicative of any car market crash or anything in particular, I think it is just seasonality, it doesn't change the fact that dealerships are having trouble moving inventory, and this is something that you should take advantage of by trying to get a discount. And so regardless of what car you're wanting to buy, search for those discounts, don't settle for above or at MSRP pricing, and negotiate aggressively. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, looking for cars that are discounted is just half the battle, and whenever you go to the actual dealership to buy the car, you should negotiate even further face to face. Chances are you can get some money taken off. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.